Hello, guys, and welcome back to the FPL Duo. We're back for another podcast. It's the Gameweek 17 podcast. I'm looking forward to this one. How's your week gone so far, Jordan? How's everything?
Yeah, it's been great so far. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about. A lot happened in, obviously, Gameweek 16, especially with defenders. A lot of suspension, so there will be talks about defender replacements definitely in this stream. We'll also talk about probabilities, XG stats, differential to target as well, and later down the stream you'll also see our team and captain selections as well.
Yeah, so those are sort of the key points and discussions looking at Game Week 17. So we'll break it down, and then we'll also do team selection as always, and then transfer plans. And I've an interesting transfer plan. I'm interested to see what you do as well. So I could be taking I could be taking a hit this week. We'll see. Let's move it along then. Again, clean sheet odds and another week, and Arsenal are top another week where they're expected to get the most sort of clean sheet, most likely chance of a clean sheet. Now, Arsenal do play Palace away. Now, they actually played Palace yesterday. Arsenal did win 3-2 in that one. And it's an away game, and Palace have sort of recovered a bit. They started off the season quite poor, but in the last couple of games, I think Palace have been a lot better. So it might not be the easiest game for Arsenal going away to Palace. So we'll see in that regard. Fulham are up there. So Robinson, who we'll probably discuss later on the stream, if you want to go for him, I think he's going to be a popular pick potentially with Aït-Nouri suspended. Brentford, I'm surprised are that high up. If I'm being honest, I think they've kept one clean sheet all season. So 32% against Forest at home. It seems like a stretch for them at the moment, but who knows? Chelsea are up there as well, and we know Chelsea have had a sort of good start to the season. Chelsea are playing in the Conference League, I believe, right now. However, a lot of their star players have been sort of rested. They are rotating in that competition. Man United are up there as well. Bournemouth at home, I think, is a good fixture. Man United will be confident the players after their win against Man City. So it's a big one for them. I don't think they were great in that game, but they got the win. Man United also played tonight, just under an hour now. They played Tottenham, so it's going to be a good game, I think, definitely. There could be goals in this one, so I'll be watching that one, I think. So we'll see how they do.
I somewhat forget they've made the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup, Man United. But it's quite. It'll be an interesting one to watch later down the line. Yeah,
and then you can see the rest of the team. Liverpool, interestingly, have 19% chance of a clean sheet this weekend. They are going away to Tottenham, so I'll be interested to see how Tottenham play against Man United today. And again, Liverpool 7 clean sheets, most of any team, but Arsenal aren't far behind now with 6 clean sheets for Arsenal, as well as Man United, who are on 6, and the likes of Everton, which may come as a surprise. Let's move it along then. So those are sort of the clean sheet probabilities. We don't expect too many, but let's discuss transfers in. Now, these are the highest transferred in players. On the left, you've got the transfers in, and on the right, you guys have the transfers out. So let's start off with the top 5. So you got Ahmad, with no surprise, after his great performance in the Manchester derby. He was probably one of the only Man United players I thought that actually had a good game out of the attacking players. Obviously, he wins the penalty, nice bit of skill, and then he does a lovely touch and a finish to get the winning goal as well. And he's been transferred in by 480,000 of you so far. That's going to rise. He's also a player I'm actually looking at bringing in myself to give a bit away in the later part of the team selection. He's someone I'm looking at, especially at 5 million, I think he is now. I want to see how he plays today. I don't know what the lineup is. Is he starting, Ahmad? I think he probably will.
Yeah, you probably will. I haven't seen the official lineup, but I'm sure.
I'll check the lineup.
Yeah, as one of Man United's best players in the team, I'll be surprised if he has.
Oh, no, sorry. Ahmad doesn't start tonight, but that could be a good thing because Anthony's starting. I think they're going to save Ahmad maybe for the Premier League games. I don't know. I mean, it's a big game for Man United. I think they need to win potentially, but no Ahmad starting. So we'll see what that means for Ahmad as a transfer in, but I think I still like him as a pick, especially with Bournemouth, and then he's very cheap, and for me, he's Man United's best attacker right now, so I can't see. And also, I don't know if you've seen, obviously, Rashford coming out saying basically he wants to leave, done a massive interview. That even makes Ahmad a better nailed-on choice, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. There's only 2 players for Man United that really are keen interest, and that's Ahmad and Bruno Fernandes. Obviously, Bruno Fernandes is on penalties, actually did score one of them in game week 16, but in combination to those, they're probably our 2 best players for Man United at this current moment in terms of form. So it's even good news that he's benched, as we mentioned, because he probably will start in the next fixture in 17.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Bruno's someone that I'm not looking at personally. I just think he's too expensive for most teams. But Ahmad at 5 million, definitely is someone that I'm looking at now as a worthy option. Robinson, we've discussed slightly. He got 2 assists against Liverpool. Obviously, Liverpool were down to 10 men, but he had a good game. Going forward, he likes to get, I think he's got 6 assists for the season as well, Robinson. 6. So he's having a good season. Fulham have a decent fixture this week, isn't it? Who they got?
Yeah, Southampton at home.
Yeah,
probably the best fixture in this obviously game week, but the manager was sacked, so it'll be interesting to see what the bounce is from the manager being sacked.
Yeah, I mean, Southampton did lose yesterday to Liverpool 2-1, but Liverpool did have a rotated squad out. But I think Robinson is a good shout. If you've got Aït-Nouri, who we know is now suspended after picking up a red card, Aït-Nouri to Robinson makes sense for a lot of people. Another defender you see 4th on the list is Lewis Hall. He's another one that I like. If you don't want to go for Robinson, I think Lewis Hall is a good pick as well. Isak's up there. Again, another player that's heavily on my list that I'm looking at, someone like Isak, bringing him in. Last week, I did sort of lock myself out of bringing in Isak because I got Trent in, but I found another way I could bring Isak into my team, but he does require a hit. But I'm not ruling it out. But I do think Isak, he's got Ipswich this week as well, so great fixture. And I think Isak is probably, for me, probably the best striker in the game to own at the moment, I think, ahead of Jackson, possibly. I mean, Jackson's on 4 yellows, but he's also had a good start to the season. Gabriel's up there. I think he's had a price rise as well recently, which is good as a Gabriel owner. I think it's 6.2 million now. Enzo, again, another transfer I made last week. He's up there still. Wood, still going strong. 8th on the list. Palmer as well. I mean, out of these players, Jordan, is there anyone that you want to discuss in particular, or someone that you're looking at that's maybe not on this list?
The player is on the list, but he's very low down here. I'm surprised, but he's a Iwobi. Obviously, he's got the Southampton home fixture, but I think when it comes to a team, when you play against a team like that, obviously the team pushes very high, and you expect the forwards like Raul Jimenez to do really well, but normally, this case in this season, we haven't really seen that. We've seen players that don't really get involved, that are more like play at the back further in other matches. But a player like Iwobi, I think he's got 5 goals and 3 assists this season so far. He could be a worthy pick for 1 week punt against Southampton at home. I think it's a great fixture for him in terms of his attacking threat against a newly promoted team like Southampton, who have just conceded 5 against Spurs, which led to obviously their manager being sacked. So yeah, I think Iwobi is a good shout for this week. I'm surprised he hasn't had more transfers than what he currently has at the moment over some of those players in the list above him.
Yeah, Iwobi is someone that I'm guessing you're looking at then for your own team.
Possibly. I might have to sort out other issues first before looking towards him. But yeah, he's definitely, if I had the option, I probably would go for him next game week.
Okay. Looking at transfers out, Aït-Nouri, again, not a surprise. He's suspended and he's been pretty poor alongside Wolves, not really keeping any clean sheets. And even when he's got a return, he's conceded 4 goals and then got a -2. So yeah, Aït-Nouri hasn't really worked out for most people. I know he had a couple of assists at the early stages of the season, but 580k transfers out for him. Haaland again. If you've still got Haaland, I don't know what you're doing. I did say it very early on. I think I was late on Haaland, moving him out personally. I should have moved him out maybe around game week 10, and then getting Salah. I mean, it's just not Man City are just not the same. Haaland's not looking the same. He's not getting as many touches. The body language, Man City are struggling even against Man United. You saw it where Haaland didn't. Usually, you think Haaland will bully those centre backs, Maguire and Lisandro, but they were pretty comfy. So it is worrying if you're City and Haaland, but I think time you probably do get rid now, guys, and spread the money. You were going to say
it is amazing how Haaland started so well at the start of the season, and Man City in general, and then suddenly they're doing the worst comparatively to anyone at this current moment in terms of losses. It's very strange for a team like Man City just to drop like that. But yeah, it's not a surprise that obviously Haaland's still being sold, as literally he is invisible on the pitch. Any match I've seen him in, barely touches. Lucky to get 10 touches in the game, but yeah, definitely a player you want to get rid of if you still have him.
Yeah, Cunha, I just want to discuss quickly another popular player that's been transferred out quite highly. Wolves' fixtures are turning now, so I think Cunha becomes a sell potentially. We know Cunha is also under potential charges. I think FA are looking into it, where an incident that happened after the game, so Cunha could be banned for a few matches. So if that's the case, we don't know yet. If that's the case, then you want to sell Cunha, as he's going to miss a few matches, it seems, and FA are looking into it.
At this moment in time, do you think he'll still play against Leicester away, even though he hasn't been given the charges yet? Do you think the manager will still play?
I don't actually know the situation. Assuming he's got nothing against him yet, if he's not been suspended or anything, then he should be fine to play. But it is risky, I think, and I do see potential punishment coming for Cunha. I don't expect him to get away with this one, so we'll see. In terms of the list, Watkins, not really someone I'm looking at. Welbeck, again. Rodgers, you could sell Rodgers, I think, for someone like Ahmad. I think Ahmad is showing that threat. And if Ahmad's going to be nailed for Man United at his price, I prefer Ahmad over someone like Rodgers. Johnson, again, I don't know if he's starting tonight. I'll have a look.
Johnson's a bit of a frustrating asset. Obviously, he was benched against Southampton, where obviously they won 5-0.
He's on the bench again today.
Yeah, that's a worry. Obviously, I'm not surprised he's been transferred out as a Brendan Johnson owner. I'm even concerned of owning him for the match he has against Liverpool. Well, it's a tough fixture anyway, which I probably won't play him in, but I'm not liking the fact that obviously he's getting a lot of benchings and not starting.
Yep. But yeah, those are sort of the players that mainly want to discuss, and then that rounds you up or in terms of the transfers out. Let's move on to the next slide. Now, these are sort of differentials that you've sort of gone with. Talk us through why you've selected Iwobi as a potential differential that we should look at.
So yeah, obviously we spoke about Iwobi just a few moments ago with his 5 goals and 3 assists so far this season with 8 goal involvements. So if we look at his player stats on the right hand side in terms of goals home and away, he's scored 4 at home and only 1 goal away. So judging for that, obviously he does better in a home fixture, which is obviously better at home in terms of Fulham. But obviously he's getting a lot of shots per night. He's almost getting, obviously at least 1 shot per game. And he's had quite a lot on target, 14 with only 5 off target. So whenever he gets the opportunity, obviously he normally has the opportunity, obviously passes him on target rather than off, so he is quite accurate in terms of his shooting accuracy as well. And obviously Southampton is a home fixture, which again looks good. If he can equalise on the 4 goals he already has at home, which I believe he will. I believe he will score against Southampton at home. I wish I could bring this player in just for this 1 week. And he is cheap at 5.7 million and only 5% owned. So if you can, guys, if you can fit him in, if you ain't got no issues in your team, then I'd probably recommend as a differential to target Iwobi is the one for this week.
Okay, yeah, I mean Iwobi's got some nice fixtures as well. If you look at the next 5, so a couple of home fixtures in there, or 3 home fixtures, 2 against newly promoted teams. So 1 to watch definitely. And yeah, he's got 5 goals as well, which isn't a bad sort of return. Moving on to his teammate, you've got Anthony Robinson, and definitely he's one that we're looking at. Sorry. Which slide were you on?
Oh, it was that one.
Oh, sorry. I don't know why I went to the next slide. Sorry.
That's okay.
So players to consider, or in my case, I think he's a great buy this week, is Ahmad. Now, Ahmad, again, we've just seen him come off the 2 goals that he scored against Man City. He's had obviously nearly 500,000 transfers in already, 11% ownership. And yeah, he scored 2 goals, first couple of goals against City. But I think a lot of that is due to his game time. He wasn't playing much under Ten Hag, which I don't know why. He should have been starting for me ahead of the likes of, getting instead of Garnacho, etc. Because I think he's a much better player. But now it seems like Amorim's there. Amorim prefers Ahmad. We've seen, and I think Ahmad could potentially get a run here. And again, these fixtures against Bournemouth, against even Wolves, struggling Wolves, Southampton in there. Obviously, Liverpool game's tough, but you can potentially see Ahmad getting a couple of goals in these fixtures. If Man United are to do well, so he's someone I'm looking at, especially at his price. I think he's 5.2 million. Good player to buy, and he's someone that I'm looking at for my team.
Yeah, cheap, affordable. I mean, we've not been too keen on Man United assets, but it has taken a few game weeks for Amorim to find his perfect 11, the ones where he sees the opportunities from players like obviously Ahmad, and obviously it works in favour of Rashford leaving the club as well, because as we said, that makes Ahmad pretty much more nailed, especially with Garnacho as well. Issues with him in terms of him and the manager too, and obviously that does give Ahmad more opportunities to start games, as you just start obviously 14, but 5 of them were off the bench. But it seems like now, in terms of Liverpool, Man United fixtures as well, pretty good in the next 3. Yeah, do you have Liverpool weighing 20, but out of those 4 fixtures, it's looking good for Ahmad in the next 5.
Yep. Again, replacement defenders, sort of mentioned this one, but Anthony Robinson, 2 assists coming off the last game against Liverpool, and he's got some nice fixtures coming up: Southampton, Bournemouth, Ipswich, West Ham, all in these next 5 games. He's had a lot of transfers in. Aït-Nouri being suspended makes it easy for a switch from Aït-Nouri to Robinson, and he's someone should be top of your list for defenders under 5 million, I think. He's got the attacking threat. He's not scored this season so far, but he's getting up there and attacking, and he's got that threat, putting in crosses. As you can see by his 66 crosses already, he's putting in about 4 per game, which is quite a nice sort of stat that backs that attacking threat up. And yeah, I mean, with Fulham, they've not kept as many clean sheets, I believe, but just the 2. But he's more for the attacking return that you'd be buying him for, and who knows, you might own him for the first goal. So we'll see. But I think he's a good pick, and he's someone that I'm looking at as well, as I do own Aït-Nouri myself.
Yeah, it's perfect ideal replacement for Aït-Nouri, because we obviously went for him for the attacking returns, which obviously didn't work out. Now he's suspended, so it looks like Robinson's the next best pick. Obviously, he's had 6 assists so far this season. Hasn't felt like it if you haven't owned Robinson, but yeah, with the fixtures they have up next, it's like the perfect ideal swap.
Yeah, and then moving on to total goals probability. So I'll sort of go through this one quickly. So Aston Villa, Man City, expected 3.2 goals. So as you can see, you probably want some assets potentially from this game. However, I actually don't own anyone bar Rodgers in that game. So if you've got Rodgers, I don't think it's a bad idea to play Rodgers with the way Man City are sort of performing. Another game. So all these games, you see on the screen at the moment, expected to be goals. Even the Palace and Arsenal game, you're seeing 2.45 goals expected in that one. So, yeah, should be goals. Should be some interesting games this weekend. And if you've got the likes of Chris Wood, even could do well against Brentford. Brentford assets are fine to play. Arsenal defense should be okay, but I think Palace will score. I think Palace did give a couple problems to Arsenal yesterday. And Chelsea Everton is one to watch as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough game, I think, that Crystal Palace Arsenal one, because obviously they got to travel to Crystal Palace stadiums. Arsenal away, it has been tricky for them to obviously keep the lead and obviously drop the lead. So it's going to be interesting fixture to watch. Obviously, Arsenal did just about make it yesterday against them, but let's see on the replay in the Premier League what the result is for them.
Yeah, no, I think that's a tough game. I could potentially see Palace maybe nicking something. We'll see. Everton, Chelsea. We know Chelsea are flying at the moment, but Everton is another game where we saw them keep Arsenal, shut out Arsenal. So it won't be the easiest fixture for Chelsea, I don't think either, because they do like to defend and sit back. Everton. And then Fulham and Southampton again. If you've got Iwobi, etc., this is a good game as well to own them for. Moving on, then one that stands out, obviously Liverpool Spurs game, 3.57 expected goals. We know Liverpool played yesterday, but they did rest a lot of their star players. Van Dijk wasn't on the bench. Gravenberch, Mo Salah totally rested, didn't play yesterday, wasn't involved. So they're fresh. Spurs are playing their first team pretty much right now. So that could be a really good game for Liverpool assets and even Spurs assets. I do see goals in this Liverpool game. So if you've got the likes of Salah, again, captain worthy potentially, Jota's now back. So will he become an option in the future? It's one to watch FPL wise, whether Jota comes into our teams. Trent, I'm looking at Trent as a Trent owner. This is a game where hopefully he can get me something. The rest of the fixtures, Man United, Bournemouth, again, Ahmad is a good pick. I wouldn't go elsewhere, apart from Ahmad at the moment. See how Man United perform today. Leicester, Wolves, I'll probably avoid this fixture for the players. Ipswich, Newcastle, I think Isak's a great pick. Lewis Hall is a good pick now as well. And in West Ham and Brighton, I think could be a good game. Could be goals in this one. If you've got Bowen, I think Bowen could do well. Obviously, João Pedro, we'll have to see. He's not really lived up to the hype that we've expected from him. But I mean, what would you make of sort of these games?
Yeah, the one interesting one is West Ham. Obviously, I spoke about Wan-Bissaka 2 game weeks ago. I think he could be possibly underlooked still. He did get an assist last game by obviously winning the penalty, which Paqueta did score in game week 16. But again, he just shows so much threat up front as a defender that he could possibly be a good player to bring in, obviously, for that Brighton game, followed by the other game after that, where West Ham had 2 good fixtures, and they seem to have regained a little bit more comfortable form as a team, and obviously that's a home fixture for them. So yeah, quite intrigued to see what happens in that game from obviously Bowen and Wan-Bissaka. Yeah,
for sure. One to watch. Moving on then to the next slide, and these are win percentages. So if you guys do want to see who's most likely to win, likelihood in the upcoming game week. So Arsenal are up there, expected to win sort of most weeks. Liverpool, Man City, as you'd expect. I mean, Man City is seems quite high at the moment, the way they're playing, and a lot of 70%. But they do have some decent games coming up, Man City, and maybe we do look at bringing Haaland back when the fixtures turn. But I do want to see a lot more from Man City before I start sort of bringing in their assets. And then these are the sort of the lower teams that probably don't own as many of their assets due to obviously performing a lot worse. So those are sort of the win percentages out the way. I do want to discuss our teams now. Do you want to do the points and how we performed, or are we just going straight to?
We might as well just go straight to because obviously it wasn't. Yeah, we'll go straight to the team.
Okay, let me share my. I mean, I can't remember. Was I on the knee-jerk stream? I can't remember. I wasn't, was I?
No.
Yeah, you've done yours though. I'll quickly do mine. So I mean, it wasn't the best week or anything like that, but I'll share my screen. I'll just quickly go through it. There you go, guys. So this is my team. Hopefully, you guys can see that. Can you see that?
Yep.
Hold on. There you go. In goal, I had Raya. Back 3, I had 8 Nuri, who's got the red card, the -2. Trent, 1 point. And Gabriel gets me a 9-pointer, which was nice. In the midfield, Enzo, 5 points with his assist. Palmer, 6-pointer. Salah, 5 points, obviously. And then Saka, 3 points. Palmer was the captain, so Palmer blank, but unfortunately, I forgot. Well, I was so close to captaining Salah as well, but I went Palmer in the end. Up front, Cunha and Jackson got me a goal each, so 9 points, which was nice. And João Pedro. That left me with 53 points because Jackson got a couple of bonus points near the end. That was a green arrow. So it wasn't a big green arrow, but it was a slight green arrow. Now my rank sits at, I believe, 1.4 mil. So quite happy with that. As long as I get a green, I think it can't really complain because it's been quite hard to sort of consistently get getting green arrows. So yeah, it is a green arrow for me up to about 1.4 mil.
Nice. It was a struggle to get a green, if I'm honest, in Game Week 16.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't the highest scoring week. The average was 47. But yeah, I'm up to 1.4. Hopefully, I can break into the top 1 mil now. Quickly, boss teams. Raya in goal, playing a back three of Rico Lewis, Trent, and Gabriel. Midfield four of Enzo, Mo Salah captain. That's a lock. Palmer vice, and then Saka against Palace. Up front, I've got Cunha, Jackson, and João Pedro. Now, obviously, I'm going to wait and see what the news is in regards to Cunha, because if he's banned, we know Ait Nouri, I can't play him. He's suspended. Rodgers has City, and then Mikalenko has Chelsea, so not got the greatest bench this week for fixtures. So I'll quickly go on the transfers page and tell you guys what I'm looking at doing. So I've got 0.8 million in the bank, so not a lot to play with there. I am tempted to take out Cunha. It was even before that that incident, because his fixtures turn now. You've got Leicester, which is a nice fixture if he plays. But after that, you can see a ton of red fixtures there, and I probably don't want to own him for those ones. So I'll probably take Cunha out. And the player I want to bring in, as you guys know, I've wanted him for a couple of weeks, is Isak. And after his 12-pointer last week, I was close to bringing him in, or 11-pointer, I should say. And now he scored 3 goals in 3 matches in his last 3, I should say. So he's on form. I obviously can't afford him due to my budget. I'm short by 1 million. So the way I'd get that money is by doing. I probably would go. Let's have a look what I can do. It'll be Rodgers to Ahmad. And then I'd do. Sorry, Raya as well.
-8.
Yeah. Or what I could do, I could leave Enzo for this week, sorry. But I do potentially want to bring in. I am potentially looking at doing Ahmad in, but it probably won't be this week. But this week, I could take a -4 and just play Enzo, because Enzo's got Everton away, which is a decent fixture, and then bring Ahmad in. The only worry is Ahmad. This leaves me very short, but 0.1. Flecken's not great, as we know, because he doesn't keep clean sheets. But I can also play Fabianski some weeks. But that means I get rid of double Arsenal defense. And I know Arsenal defense, their numbers are still good. The numbers are very good, to be fair, but they've not kept as many clean sheets as we would have hoped. But I could downgrade the goalkeeper to allow me to bring Isak in. I don't know what you think of this move. Would you go down and get rid of Arsenal double Arsenal defense to allow you to have Isak alongside Salah, Palmer, Saka, even Jackson, who looks a lot stronger like that?
It does depend on how long you are wanting to keep Isak for. So how many games do you want to keep him for?
Let's look at his fixtures. They look pretty nice, I think. Ipswich, Villa, and Man United, I think they're fine fixtures. I think Newcastle will perform well in these games, especially at home against Villa. I think that could be a good fixture for him. Man U and Spurs away game, so could be tougher there, but he's one of those players that just sort of turn up against the bigger teams. After that, Wolves, Bournemouth, Southampton, Fulham. So I do like Isak as a pick longer term even. And I am tempted to do it and get rid of Raya. And then see what I want to do. Maybe when I wildcard next, maybe bring double Arsenal defense back. If I really want double Arsenal defense, I'd probably have to sell Trent for an Arsenal defender, because as you can see, I'm stretched at the moment. So let's say I do a -4 this week. Next week, my free transfer will probably be in for Ahmad, potentially. When Ahmad plays Wolves, I could bring Ahmad in for Wolves away. And then, take it from there. But then I'd hold Ait Nouri on the bench and then maybe sell Ait Nouri out and upgrade him on Lewis as well. But
the only issue with this is because I imagine Ahmad will rise in price.
Yeah.
Will you have enough money to do the next move next game week?
Yeah, I've got 0.1. So let's say I do the -4, which is Flecken in, and Isak, that leaves me a +1, 0.1, sorry. So I can still bring Ahmad in, even if he has one more price rise. So you shouldn't go up by much more. He's 5.2 right now. If he goes 5.3, I can still afford it. But yeah, it leaves me with tight 0.1 budget. But I'm not sure if I want to get rid of Raya, because I still see Arsenal getting clean sheets. Like I see a lot of 0-0 as well. So Arsenal do keep clean sheets here and there. So that's what I'm not 100% sure. I mean, what would you think? Do you like the moves? -4 this week, Isak in, Scott Ipswich, and then Ahmad in next week as well, potentially.
Yeah, he's still got obviously Arsenal cover, but I had Gabriel, so there's no worries of obviously taking out Raya for leaving that double Arsenal defence, and you're planning to keep Isak for a long time as well. So that -4 will be made up for it in coming game weeks where Isak scores, which is more than obviously likely going to happen, especially with the fixtures in Newcastle's form currently and Ipswich away.
Yeah,
it's a good fixture for him.
Well, what's the plan? I'm eyeing up a -4 this week. It would have been a -8, but I'm happy to play Enzo instead of Ahmad this week, because Enzo's got a decent fixture. Let's pull up your team. Just read us through your 11 first, and then your transfer plans as well.
Yeah, so I was thinking I have Hermansen as Wolves at home. Obviously, he's a doubt with the yellow flag for his groin injury coming off of half-time in the last game week. So I'll have to see what happens. I don't actually know any news on that further development from that, but we'll wait and see for the press conference. In terms of the back three, we've got Virgil, Van Dijk's got Tottenham away, Timber's got Crystal Palace away, and obviously we spoke about Aït Nouri suspended, and we will miss that Leicester away fixture, which also causes another headache for my team because I have no playing or no starting defender to replace him on the bench with. So again, another issue I'll have to address. Moving on to midfield, though, we've got Palmer's got Everton away, Saka's got Crystal Palace away, Mitoma's got West Ham away, and obviously Salah, where the captaincy has Spurs away. Now, the captaincy will be interesting this week because out of the three, in terms of Palmer, Saka, and Salah, they're not particularly the best. Obviously, the options there aren't that great. And obviously, we've seen Crystal Palace kind of have a grudge match against Arsenal the other, obviously, day. Everton can be funny in terms of defence. They can hold off teams like Arsenal did against 0-0 in obviously game week 16. And obviously Tottenham, well, that's probably the most, out of those three options, I think Salah's probably the best one, in my opinion, to go for, because we've seen how Spurs' defence can be very bad and poor. So it does give opportunity for Liverpool. But again, it's away fixtures we have to consider as well. But it's currently on Salah for the moment. Moving to the front three, so João Pedro, he's got West Ham away. I mean, I don't know how many game weeks I'm going to give João Pedro because he has been so frustrating. I mean, he got an assist. That's all I've had from him is one assist in the last 4 game weeks when I brought him in game week 13 when he had Southampton, which was a draw, and he got nothing from that game. So since then, he's had 1 assist, no goals. He does have nice fixtures, obviously West Ham next and Brentford, but in those two, if he doesn't really show any performance, then he could possibly be going from the team because he's been the worst transfer in I've had in 4 game weeks. Got Nicholas Jackson beside me, who's got Everton away. Fine to play him with that game. Obviously, Chelsea play tonight, rotated squad, so he's rested and ready for that game. And then we've got Chris Wood, who has Brentford away. He was a bit lucky, Chris Wood, in game week 16. He did have a goal that was ruled off offside. He could have potentially got a return from that fixture, but a bit unlucky. But I'm fine to play him against Brentford away because I still think he's a good pick long term. In terms of the bench, this is where it becomes interesting because obviously I have a non-playing goalkeeper, so I can't swap Hermansen for him. Johnson is a minutes risk for being bench, but he has a bad fixture anyway against Liverpool at home. Byers and Keane have seemed to have lost their place in terms of their starting 11 for Leicester and Everton. They don't seem to play anymore. Byers does come on, but only from substitution for a couple of minutes, which isn't great because obviously Aït Nouri suspended and I don't have any starting defender available for my team. So let's move on to obviously the transfer plans that I'm considering. Now, in terms of the situation with Hermansen, let's just say he's fine for this game against Wolves at home. I do need to take out Nuri though, because he is the priority, as I have no defender that starts to replace him with. So he's going to be taken out of my team. And I'm going to bring a defender, which I still think is worth going for, who I've spoken about earlier on in the stream, and that is Wan-Bissaka. Now, in terms of his fixtures, obviously he has Brighton at home this game week, but then after that he has Southampton away. So he has 2 good game weeks before obviously he has difficult ones against Liverpool and then Man City, which I'll probably bench him for those 2 when they do arrive. And then obviously play him again when he has 2 home fixtures against Fulham and Crystal Palace long term. So he's going to be potentially my replacement for Nuri this week, because I do like his high attacking threat where he plays in West Ham on that right hand side. If I do hear news that Hermansen isn't available or not going to start against Wolves at home from injury, then I might have to take a -4. It's either I take a -4 or start with no goalkeeper in game week 17, which I have thought about doing, because to be fair, I've not been really good. Well, I ain't been really impressed with goalkeepers this season, but it is particularly something I'm looking at doing. But I have 4.8 million in the bank, so it does leave me with some money to bring a replacement goalkeeper in. I'm just trying to see who I'd potentially bring in, because I have thought about bringing Sanchez in, obviously to cover Chelsea in case they get clean sheets. But I mean, in terms of clean sheets, they kept one against Aston Villa in 13, but since then they haven't really kept many, if I'm honest. They've had 3 clean sheets, Chelsea, but the fixtures look nice until game week 23. So I might be willing to take a punt on Robert Sanchez for a -4, but it's a wait and see to see what Hermansen's situation is.
Okay, let's take a few comments. Awobi only played further back against Arsenal, and Liverpool will be more attacking this game week.
Yeah.
Says Colm, could you make a wildcard draft? We will have wildcard videos out soon, Robert. Harry says, evening all. Evening, Harry. Hope you're well. Also, guys, if you're enjoying the stream, please hit that like button and please make sure you are subscribed to the channel as well, please. You buy Flecken for the save points, says Colm. And then who are you benching Wan-Bissaka for?
Who am I benching Wan-Bissaka?
You'd be benching Johnson, right?
Yes. Yeah, Johnson will be on the bench.
And then the other 2 defenders, Feist and Keena, I take it.
Yeah. And I'll have Wan-Bissaka where Nuri is at the moment, because Johnson, if he does start against Liverpool, it's a tough fixture, even though it's a home one for Spurs.
Roman says, evening, lads. I myself wanted to ask about goalkeepers. I'm really interested in Alisson or maybe Pickford. Wanted to know your thoughts, as they do double soon. Yeah, we know Liverpool and Everton are going to have a double game week after their postponed game. So yeah, they could be decent options. I think Alisson is a good pick to cover the Liverpool defense if you've got the budget to stretch. Pickford's something about Pickford. I'm still not sure on it, but I think he's a good pick. I know the fixtures do sort of turn, but I don't hate Pickford as a move. He does get save points as well. Anup says, I'm looking to downgrade Mbermo to a cheap midfielder like Enzo and then use the extra funds to upgrade to either Trent or Isak. Which do I bring in? I like Ahmad, as I mentioned. I know he's just could be knee-jerky after his 2 goals, but I think Ahmad could be a really good pick. Or Enzo. I mean, I've got Enzo myself. Ahmad or Enzo, you can't go wrong, but I might be pushing Ahmad slightly better than Enzo at the moment as a pick, because where he plays in the pitch, he's a lot more forward, and he plays in the front 3, and obviously Enzo plays in the midfield. So I think Ahmad is a good pick.
Yeah, I think even to obviously answer that question as well, you might want to try and fit both in Enzo and Ahmad beside each other, if you can upgrade to either Trent or Isak as well. But I'm sure you can, because Enzo and Ahmad are cheap at around 5 million. Yep.
I think that's it, guys, for us. Man United kick off in about 10 minutes, so we're going to go watch the Man United and Spurs quarterfinal, and then the draw will be later tonight for the semi-final, which will be interesting. Obviously, we know Liverpool, Newcastle, Arsenal are already through, and it's just one of Man United and Spurs, so we'll see what happens in that regard. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you've enjoyed the content, hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed, and we'll see you again on Saturday for the deadline stream.
Yeah, take it, guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll see you Saturday morning, 10 o'clock deadline, so early morning one again. So until then, take care and see you soon.